What's up, guys? Welcome to the Real Estate Virgins podcast, where we are here to give you as much free value when it comes to being a real estate agent, real estate investor, and we are here to amplify your business for absolutely free.
And we're going to do it.
We're going to do it.
Promise. You listen, you're going to learn some stuff.
So my name is John Michael Perez. This is Jordan Brown.
What's going on, everybody?
Hey, real quick plug. Check us out on Instagram. I'm at Sold by John Perez, and you are?
At Jordan Sells ATX.
Nice.
Give us a follow. Let's connect. Let's talk about, anything that you learned on the podcast or just life in general, like wherever you're at. Like, we just love connecting with people. So let's do it. Let's connect on socials.
It's really cool because I've been seeing a lot of new agents and they're like, hey, we've been checking out your podcast and we really love it. And I'm like, whoa, it's actually working.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's
cool.
Cool.
So,
hey, speaking of social media, kind of on a whim, I was on a walk the other day and I just decided to deactivate my Twitter account.
What?
Yeah.
You are the Twitter guy.
I know. I have been for a very long time. I whenever I got it, I was like, man, this is so much better than Facebook. But I feel like it became what people went to Twitter for to get away from Facebook. It became that.
Yeah.
Like none of my friends were on it. No one updates their status with anything of like important information. The one thing I really love about Twitter is from I follow like a ton of sports and hockey and stuff like that, so I can follow the games updated if I'm not watching it at home, or like news events that happen that are trending. Like I like that you can see that and like see people's real-time reactions, but it wasn't enough to keep me around for some reason. Just the negative energy from like something about it being public and anyone being able to like search a keyword and like find your post and just respond to you and just like bring all this negative energy. I think I had like an interaction like that. I was like, what am I doing here?
But it was so negative. It was more negative like last year though, I say.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. Like relatively speaking, I think anytime it's especially political times, it's always just a bore. Yeah. And I get over that stuff really easy. But even like just making a comment about like your favorite sports team, some person finds you and they're like, hey, F you, this is stupid. And you're like, all right, like I'm over this. Yeah. So Twitter, I'm off Twitter now.
Yeah, dude. These last couple of days, actually both of us have been putting in hours. We've been working a lot, showing a lot of houses. Big congrats on that new one under contract.
Thank you. Yeah, you're starting out hot. Like I don't know what everyone's talking about, this market slowdown. I don't see it. Because things are kind of picking up where I guess you could optimistically hope that it would. Yeah. I was hoping, I think there were a lot of agents who were sitting back wondering after the holidays, after New Year, what's going to happen, right? Is it going to stay kind of stagnant? Like you think of Q4, like typically that's your slow time. But we've been putting in the work. I think that just speaks to like, we've been staying consistent with real estate generating activities. And when other people are on vacation, we're still posting. We're still laying the groundwork for a successful start. And I think we're being rewarded for it.
Yeah. And like we always say, what you focus on expands, and we're not focusing on the negativity. You deactivated your Twitter.
Yeah.
That's just one example. But I mean, for me, it's like, okay, what can I control? We say that all the time. And for me, hey, I'm going to talk to more people. I'm going to build a bigger network. I'm going to build a bigger community. And I mean, I'm not going to lack, I just continually think I'm not going to lack. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to thrive. And that's why our team does so well.
Well, we're so fortunate that we are servicing the Austin area.
Yeah.
And there's enough interest in this area that there's houses bought and sold every day. Mm-hmm. And so if if you let your foot off the gas in Q4, then you're not setting yourself up for a good Q1.
That's so true. A lot of guys, we were talking about that last episode. A lot of people take the holidays off and then they get into Q1 and it's like, wait a minute, why is my business so slow? Well, because the last month you weren't doing nothing.
Yeah.
But off topic, I like to change topics really quickly. Did you see that Tesla and Apple actually doubled down on their investment in Austin?
Yes, they did. Yeah, that's exciting. That's encouraging that, I think there was some not misinformation, but there's some companies who are kind of like putting the brakes on. And I think that had some people scared about like what kind of investments are going to pull out of Austin maybe.
Yeah.
And so to see, Apple and Tesla say that's not going to be us. We see the benefits of being here. Tesla has had a pretty, I would say, successful launch here in Austin.
Well, I mean, the last couple of months though, Tesla's stock has been down a ton. And to see them putting another 700 million in increasing their activity here is like, whoa, okay, so they really do believe in Austin.
That's a big vote of confidence in the area. So I'm very excited for that. Yeah, that was a good find.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm feeling a lot better as well this week. I can't lie, last week was really rough. It turns out I found out that I had COVID, my first bout with it. So, and what's funny is like it's probably the most sick I've ever gotten as an adult.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because like I was so miserable. Like I had a 102 fever at one point, body aches, just my nose was running all the time, coughing like crazy. And I was still like trying to do real estate stuff. Yeah. Like I couldn't, I was like, man, it's almost like you get addicted to the game a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm still like really on fire for it. You hear later on, like people get burnt out or they can't find what ignites them anymore. Mm-hmm. I was sitting there going, I kind of miss like talking to my clients. I miss like I can't not make social media posts. Like it's kind of cool. And I love that about our business is that, you can be sick and, or on the sidelines and still participate. So
I agree.
Because there's other businesses where it's like if you're sick, you're not making any money right then. So there's nothing you can do about it. You can't be clocked in. You can't be on in the building that pays you to be there. So I love that there's that flexibility with real estate.
Yeah. A lot of new agents, they always ask me, they're like, hey, how do you find new deals? How do you find new clients? And I'm like, I'm not going to lie. I live and breathe real estate. And so almost every second of the day, if I'm not hanging out with family or, thinking about other stuff, for the most part, I'm thinking about real estate. And so, every single conversation, something, I see opportunities. And so, opportunities are just going to come to you if you're like, and if you're constantly in it. And the thing is like, there's that big argument of, do you have a balance? And I don't think it's a bad thing to go 100% in real estate as well as going 100% in supporting your family. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cool that there's a balance to be had for, like whenever I'm with friends, I don't bring up real estate, but it's interesting because your sphere will ask you about it.
Yeah.
Like you're sitting there like just hanging out either at like a family function or a party with some friends or whatever you're doing. And it just casually gets brought up because they think of you as the real estate person. Mm-hmm. And so even passively, you're influencing that group to think of you when it comes to real estate, which is great.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the cool thing about being in real estate is that you can literally be doing what you love and find clients doing it. Like for me, I play basketball every Wednesday. I've hosted basketball night with a friend with our dad's group. And I've gotten so many deals and so many referrals from it. But I'm not super salesy. It's just I'm a real estate agent and I love basketball. And it just so happens they know a real estate agent now.
Yeah. The strength of the relationship is what helps kind of bridge the gap between personal and business opportunity. Like I'm in the hockey group. I've been in it since 2015. I don't talk to my people about real estate. They just know that I'm the realtor in the group. Like it's kind of cool that, they know and trust, and I think they know and trust me because I don't force that upon them.
Well, I think that you can force it or not force it, but be like almost like a drip campaign online, like talk about real estate a lot online, but in real life, like just be a real person.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So when they see the online, videos and stuff like that, they'll probably bring up the real estate in real life and be like, oh yeah, you do real estate. Yeah, cool. And so now you're not like in real life being like, hey, when do you want to buy a house? Or hey, when do you want to sell a house?
Exactly. It's like a very passive way to make genuine connections, but also get that information in front of your audience. Because I think that's exactly what I do. I would not have a Facebook if it wasn't for being in real estate. Because I remember I lost access to my first account and I was really debating. I was like, I really don't want to get a new Facebook. And so I didn't for a while. And then it was like, okay, where's my client base at? They're online. I got to be online. So I made a new Facebook, and that's exactly how I position it. I put information out there pertinent to what I do for my career, and people add me not because of that, but because of the genuine relationships that I have outside of my job.
Yeah.
You know, we have common interests. We add each other on Facebook. That's just how it goes. Like, and I've been really fortunate that since, 2015, there's a lot of really like some of my best friends here in the area are from that group. And some of the opportunities that have come up are because of that group as well. Yeah. But it's a two-part thing. You can't just be a part of the group and then just be silent and not let anyone know that you're a realtor. So
what do we call that? Being a secret agent.
Yeah. Don't be a secret agent.
You don't want to be a secret agent in real estate.
You leave that to Matt Damon in his movies. You're not a good secret agent. You got to let every single person know.
Every single person know, but not in a salesy way.
Yeah. Be genuine about it. You'll find a way to kind of navigate that.
Yep. Hey, so what's today? Today is Thursday. I don't know when this podcast is going to come out, probably sometime early next week. But we're going to need to find an open house for this weekend for we should have already done that, but an open house for one of our listings that we just got up. But do you have any tips or tricks for open houses?
So Tessa had a really good input where if you're going to spend the time, going to an open house, make sure people know about it. And one way that she does that is she puts out like 30 signs.
Yeah. And
so that's directing, maybe people didn't see it online or they're just driving by, but like those signs work. People are curious. Yeah. And especially like if there's someone in the neighborhood, imagine if you were thinking about selling your home and then you see signs for an open house within your neighborhood and you go, oh great, I'm going to go meet this realtor. So there's so many different ways that open house presents opportunities for you. So it's important that you do them and that you do them correctly. And I also think, so that was Tessa's bit about, putting out at least 30 signs. My bit of information is utilize the time really well. What good is it if you show up to a 4-hour open house and you don't accomplish anything? Yeah. So be mindful of the use of your time while you're there. If it's slow the first hour or you're not getting any traffic that first, half hour or so, break open your laptop, think about what agents start calling them. Hey, I'm over here at blah, 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 blah. Do you have any clients that are looking for a house like XYZ has this much and blah, blah, blah at this price? Yeah. Back when I did open houses, what I would do is if it was slow at the very beginning, I'd start doing Facebook Lives and be like, hey, I'm over here at 123 Main Street and this beautiful 2-story, 3-bedroom, 2-bath house is available. Somebody come by and take a look. And then also I'd probably do some TikToks as well and just do as much advertising as possible within the 2 to 3 hours that we have for the open house. And then also I would try to door knock beforehand. That takes a little bit more effort, and if you're not comfortable with it, no worries, you don't have to, but it's very helpful. And the thing is that a lot of times neighbors want to know about what's going on in their neighborhood, so you can always say, hey, come over and check out the house. And there's a lot of nosy neighbors that want to come take a look, and then guess what, you get their information as soon as they walk in the door. Hey, my clients, they just need you to sign in real quick, just put some information down, and if you're interested, we'll reach out to you and follow up. That information capture is huge. It is. It's very critical for the purpose and intent of what you're doing that open house for, because if you can get past all the, do you have a realtor? Are you guys looking in this area? Like, you want to ask all those questions to try to get like a profile of that person. But if you can't follow up, what's the point? If you can't touch base to gauge their interest or to reach out to their agent or then why even ask? Yeah. So one of the houses that we have under contract actually came from somebody that walked into the open house and was very interested. And they were a neighbor that was not too far renting a house in that neighborhood, and they wanted to stay in that same neighborhood. So they
purchased or we're under contract right now. We still got a few things that we need to work on to get it closed, but it's just so cool because opportunities like that always arise, and when they arise, you got to be ready.
Yeah, if you got a listing that's sitting, like you need to be. I see so many listings that have been sitting for so long, and I can't remember the last time they did an open house. And it's like that's not servicing that seller at a high level, and you're also limiting opportunities for people who might be looking now that you've let's say you lower the price. If you lower the price, you should immediately that week have an open house.
100%. I agree.
Because you're getting this notification sent out to anyone who's keeping a tab on this property. And now you're going to give them the opportunity to come visit it again, or maybe for the first time with that open house, put it in a good light and at that new attractive price. You got to really capitalize. Mm-hmm. It's all about momentum with your listing, right?
Yeah.
If you have nothing going on,
it's all about momentum and everything in real estate.
Exactly.
Because you were sick and you were like, I still need to be doing something. Because guess what? If he just stopped completely, like he would have to pretty much start all over and be like, hey guys, I'm back. Yeah, to all his clients. Hey guys, Yeah,
it's a momentum killer. You have to be doing stuff, and it's cool that open houses are just a way to gain that traction with maybe a stagnant listing. Mm-hmm. That or like staging or just changing it up. Like if whatever you're doing isn't working, you've got to figure that out.
Yeah. I think we hit on a very important point that a lot of newer agents and just agents in general don't do well is capture information. I've got a few tips actually that I'd like to share.
Let's hear it.
There's two websites that I use. One is called Sign Up Genius, and that is something that you can sign up. You could actually use it for open houses as well. I use it for my events to capture people's information. And then also I use that or phonesites.com is a great website that you can use, and I use it very well because it's almost like a click funnel. You say, are you interested? And you can customize the website. Super easy to use, very customer friendly. And then it also has follow-up emails that once you sign in or sign up for the event, it'll send follow-up emails, which is really cool for events.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's part of getting your systems in place, right? How can you make it easier for you to do like the boring minutia work, people, involved with
sometimes people make it so complex.
Yeah. It's funny. I actually heard a podcast, and it was Tom Ferry. Shout out to you, brother. It was a recent podcast, and they shared a quote, and I can't remember if it was their quote or someone else's, so I apologize in advance, but I wanted to share it because I think it's really important, and it just resonated really well with me, and I was like, dang, I got to write that down. They said, complexity is the enemy of execution.
So true.
Think about, like, we sit there and we try to come up with this answer that's going to fix everything, right? And you'll start to pick apart your own answers and not actually accomplish anything. So you need to just do real estate activities.
Just do it.
That's it. Don't overcomplicate it. You're going to back yourself into a corner of not actually doing anything and then wonder why you're stuck. Mm-hmm. Just do stuff. Throw an event. Hang out with people. Call 5 friends. Like, there's so many just simple things that you probably do like unknowingly, like especially if you're scrolling through social media and you like someone's post. Passively, you are getting in front of that person. Mm-hmm. So like being active on social, like making a video, do something today, every single day, that is real estate related, and I promise you, your influence will grow, and you will not be sitting there wondering where your business is going to come from, because you're constantly putting yourself out there, and that's what it's about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe that your income is directly correlated with the amount of people that you can work with, and then the level of service that you give those amount of people.
That is fire.
So
that is a great way to put that. Like, that is the synopsis of real estate.
Yeah. I mean, so if it's directly correlated with the amount of people you work with and the level of service, you need to be working with a lot of people and having very good service to equal a lot of income.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that you need to think about is right now we're at the start of a brand new year, and think about how your clients have new goals and new ambitions for the new year. Mm-hmm. And some of that may involve real estate, but how are you going to know if you don't touch base with them? How do you know if you don't pick up the phone and call or text that person? Mm-hmm. So just get in front of them. Get in front of your clients. Don't expect that they're watching every video you make, because that's not the case. You need to add that real personal touch of reaching out yourself and call them. Like, so many people, I feel like a lot of agents, especially younger ones these days, are afraid to hop on a phone call, and they'd rather text. And you are skipping the most important aspect of real estate other than in-person communication. It's over the phone. It's voice. Being able to hear the warmth when you call your client and hear how excited they are or not excited they are to hear from you, or how they respond to what you're saying. You miss that over text. You're getting rid of so much context over just regular typing.
Yeah. So one of my favorite books is called The 7 Levels of Communication, and we can skip the first 4, but the top 3 levels of communication is texting or email. That's level 3. Level 2 is phone calls. And then level 1 is in-person meeting, right? And so what I always tell people at the classes that I teach is that how do we get to number 1 the quickest, right? And so for me, when people reach out to me with texts or email, the first thing I say is,
when can we meet?
When can we meet?
When are you available?
Actually, that's not the first thing.
Or here's my phone number.
No.
Or what's your phone number?
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No worries. I know you know it. But the first thing I ask for is, what's your phone number? And then as soon as they give me that phone number, I get them on the phone. That's level 2. And then on that level 2, I ask them what their wants and needs are, what's their time frame, what's important to them. And then I say, when's a good time we can meet? And that's level 1. Right. Yeah. So from level 3 to level 2 to level 1, and that equals closing more deals.
And that's not a bunch of smoke. I've literally been with John when a new lead comes through, and the only thing he says, what's your phone number? Mm-hmm. There's not a big text justifying, hey, thanks for reaching out. Excited to work with you, ready to talk to you. Here's my phone number. It's, what is your phone number? You know why? Why is it important to get their phone number? Because I'm going to call you.
Yep. We're talking about capturing information, right? So, and stop being so complex and trying to like get all this information within the first text or email. Get them on the phone as soon as possible, and it's going to be the best way to close them quicker.
Yeah, and we've talked about getting in front of them or on the phone, being the first person to contact them. And especially on the higher levels of communication, 9 times out of 10, they're going to go with the first person.
Yeah.
So that timing is real critical.
I actually got an example from yesterday. Where is it at? Let me see here. All right. Her name is Nikki. She posted on a Facebook group of mine and said, hey, I'm looking for a lease. And so what I did was I messaged her and I said, hey, Nikki, when it comes closer to the time to find a lease, we would love to help. And she said, and then I said, what's the best phone number that I can reach you at? And she goes, awesome. Thank you. I will save your number. Here's my number. Literally, it was that easy.
It's not complicated. It is not complicated to get people's info. And it's not like you had to like beg for it. This is what we do, especially if they're reaching out to you. Why wouldn't they give you their info?
Exactly.
If they don't, they're not serious.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Exactly. And then you move on to the next one, and don't focus on the one that didn't give you the info so much. Move on to the next one. Move on to the next one until you get that information and do level 3, level 2, level 1, and you'll be great.
Yeah. Shocking statistic today.
What?
So I saw this morning that, and again, this is not an official number or anything. Last year, do you remember what we said as far as what the prediction was for how many agents were going to drop out of the Austin MLS?
I think it was around 30%, right?
Right. So that was the projection, was 30% of agents are going to drop out by the end of 2023.
By the end of 2022?
No. By the end of this year.
Okay.
So coming up this year, there's a projection that 30% of agents are going to drop out or they're going to not renew their license for one reason or another. Shocking statistic this morning is that the early computing right now, there's not an official number, but the unofficial range of people who have yet to renew their license as of January 1st, guess how much?
I don't know. Tell me.
20 to 25% already. So I don't know if that just means there's more people that need to listen to this. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, I just encourage you guys, like, if you're on the verge and you're sitting there kind of contemplating your career, I would challenge you to really look in and ask yourself if you've given everything into the business that's required to succeed. And if you cannot answer yes, you have not done yourself the favor of doing a good enough job at servicing at a high level and prospecting.
I think every time that I question, like, hey, maybe I shouldn't do some work, or hey, maybe I'll just take a little break. I remember back when I was waiting tables and the grind and waking up at 5 a.m. to go to work and doing all this stuff that I didn't love. I wasn't passionate about it. And so it's like, man, I've got to get up and do the real estate lead generating activities, or guess where I'm going to go back to?
Right back there. Exactly. You're going to be serving on the patio Sunday morning.
Yeah. That's the thing. Dude, I have traumatic memories of being on the patio on Sunday morning. I'm not going to lie. And having 10 tables and just waiting these tables. I don't want to be here, but I was a great worker.
For like a couple $100.
Yeah, a couple $100.
Yep.
You know, and then now we have the opportunity to make 10, 15, 20 grand from serving a client at a high level. And that's just from doing real estate lead generating activities. And guys, if you are struggling right now, I encourage you to listen to this podcast, go back to our other episodes, because we're doing it, we're living it, and we've been there, right?
Yeah, I think it's important to know, like, John has been in the business for about 6-7 years now, and I started during the pandemic. Like, I didn't...
One of the worst times to start in real estate.
And when a lot of people started, I think there was a lot of layoff. There was a lot of people unhappy with their jobs, with the way COVID was handled or whatever. And they were seeking something else. And they were thinking that real estate was going to be that life raft. Mm-hmm. And then it turned out that it was actually super entrepreneurial and a lot harder than they probably anticipated.
Yeah.
And it's not like what you see on TV where business is just flocking to you and you're selling $1 million homes overnight. That doesn't happen. It's not real. And once that reality sets in, I think it scares a lot of people. So you have to ask yourself, are you in this with the right expectations of what's going to happen? And are you willing to do the work? That's all it comes down to. Because if you trust the formula, surround yourself with people who are also killing it, it's almost impossible for you to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Almost.
Trust the formula, surround yourself with people that are killing it, and it's impossible to not to succeed. So, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different, I think another thing to really highlight here about agents who are maybe struggling to find their way or their footing within real estate is that there's a lot of different ways to make money with your license. Mm-hmm. You do not have to be just a buy and sell agent.
Mm-hmm. So many big box brokerages want you to do one of three things: represent buyers, represent sellers, or represent leases. When in reality, there's like 50 million different ways to make money in real estate.
Yeah, and I think there's one thing that I can really appreciate. There's a lot of things I can appreciate about what TRE, our brokerage, has done and offered us. But, you know, there's other opportunities out there. Think about like wholesaling, right? Wholesaling is, let's say you find a client and the house is worth $500,000 and they either don't have the means or the resources to get it to that point, and they're looking for something quick and easy, something that's convenient for them that aligns with what they're looking for, and they're willing to let it go, let's say for $350,000. You can represent them on the sell side, and surely at $350,000, if it's worth $500,000, you're going to find someone to buy that property, and you'll make your 3% commission minus listing photos on that. So, you know, let's think about that. That's like what?
$12K.
Yeah. So you make $12K for representing them.
11.
But what if you wholesaled it? And what is that? Basically, you are buying it at the lower price while also searching for an end buyer to buy it at market value.
So if you put it under contract at 350 and then find a end buyer at 420, then that's $70,000 in profit
Yeah. Wouldn't you rather make 70 than 12
on one deal.
So, and there's arguments about like the ethics and stuff of it, but there is an ethical way to do that. It's just an option. I think that's one of the great things. Like whenever I listen to Matt talk, he's not worried about like the small stuff. It's all about giving people options. You don't know what they want. You don't know what the solution that is going to fit them best is if you're not having those conversations.
And I think it's about the value you bring to every transaction. So like if the value you bring is finding an end buyer that will pay 420, and then you are upfront to the seller and saying, hey, I'm going to put this under contract and I may potentially find a buyer that's going to want to buy it from me for a higher price. Is that okay with you? And the benefit is we're going to sell it quicker, And if that's okay with them, then everything is out on the table.
Yeah. And so that's one way to make, shoot, dude, you get one of those, you just made like a lot of people's salaries in one transaction.
Yeah.
So do it ethically, but we're just trying to show like you don't have to just be a buy and sell agent. There are options, and if you need to get behind a brokerage that is going to support you with that, Tyfke Real Estate's a great option. I'm not saying we're the only one, but I know they are the most entrepreneurial, supportive brokerage in this area.
For sure.
And that's a fact.
Let me tell a quick story. One time, I think I was 2 weeks into joining, and there was this listing appointment. They found me because during the freeze or something like that, I was giving out water or something like that. So they reached out to me like, hey, we want to sell our house. I walk in, I schedule the listing appointment. I ask for the phone number as soon as possible. I schedule the listing appointment. I walk in, and there just needs some work to be done to the house, and a new roof, new floors, new paint. And
is that the one that also smelled like cigarettes?
No,
different house.
No, different one. But I told her, hey, if you did this, this, and that, we can get about 320. She's like, well, I don't have the means to do that. I don't want to do that. And then I said, well, you know what? Would you be willing to sell it to me for 220 and we can close in 2 weeks? And she goes, actually, yeah, that's fine. 220. Let's do it. She sells it to me for $220,000. I partner up with Matt and Alex to purchase that property. We put new paint, new floors, and we fix up a few things.
All the things that you told her would have need to be done anyway to get it to market value.
Yeah, I even showed her the comps and said this is what it would sell for. I purchased the property. We sold it, made $90,000 in profit, and we split the proceeds. And so now, instead of making let's say we sold it for $250 times 3%, that's $7,500. Instead of making $7,500, I made $45,000.
Come on.
And a lot of agents think that they're stuck just representing buyers, just representing sellers, and just representing people that want to lease. When in reality, you can flip the property, you can wholesale the property, you can do novation agreement. Novation agreement is basically saying, I'm going to flip your property, you're still going to own it, but you owe me the profit. There's so many ways to make money in real estate.
And it's great because you gave her the options, and she was able to say, you know what, that actually sounds like what's going to work best for me.
Mm-hmm. It's no different from what Zillow or OfferPad or all of these other big companies do.
Exactly. It's exactly what they do.
Yeah,
they buy it undervalued. A lot of times those iBuyer programs are actually just lipsticking it. They're not even like making actual upgrades. It's just kind of hiding the issues. So that's another way to kind of look at that. Is they're not going in there and making major fixes to the property. They're just kind of new paint. Come check it out. $60,000 higher than what we bought it for.
Yeah.
So there's a whole argument to be had there too.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, like, look at just those two options. How much more money is available to be made? How many more, like, how different will those conversations look just from those two options?
Yep. And
flipping's great because if you're going to be flipping properties, I think you have to, like, it's a no-brainer to have your license because you get 3% back. If you're buying the property, and you're representing yourself, you get 3% back immediate, or whatever the agreement is, right? But we'll just call it.
we have a flip right now, and the house is $500,000, and we're selling it, and we just saved $15,000 because we're licensed.
Exactly. Like you
do that 4 times a year, you save $60,000.
Yeah.
Like that's a salary for most people.
And it's great because, like, you know, if you purchase a flip property, and you're licensed, let's say you get that 3% back, that's funding part of your renovations.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so, or it's your holding cost, your closing costs, like reimbursement. There's so many ways to look at it, but nonetheless, you're getting the benefit of having a license by flip. If you're going to flip anyway, might as well have your license.
Yeah. Yeah. So with newer agents, a lot of times they struggle with getting leads. And one of the best tips that I would like to give you guys is just think about the people you hang out with, the places you go. Just think about your immediate area, even the neighborhood that you live at, right? And so for me, you know, this next month I'll be doing a dad's night. I'm niching down, right? I'm only focusing on dads for next month in my neighborhood. I live in Bryson. And so basically what we're going to do is we're going to have a big fun night. We're going to have sponsors pay for everything. It's not out of my pocket. We're going to have cornhole. We're going to have games. And it's just a bunch of adult dads having a fun time, right? In my immediate area. I'm having fun. And I'm going to have an RSVP. I'm going to collect all their information. And now I've got their phone number. I've got their name, their email, and they live in my neighborhood. And now I can put them on a newsletter or an email and just be in front of them. And then on our Facebook group, I'm going to be extremely active, and they're going to see my face and they're going to see my name over a long period of time and be super consistent, right? Not just once every month, not just a little here and there. It's almost daily, you know? And guess who they're going to work with?
You. Exactly. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you build influence locally.
Ooh.
I think that's like a great summary of how to not overcomplicate things. Go have fun in your neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Invite the people that you are, you know, commingling with. You know, one of my big pieces is like own your local market. The hyper local agent always wins. So there's a lot of people, especially Austin's a big area. There's a lot of, like, you know, suburb areas. Like, I don't know South Austin very well. I'm not down there very often. Mm-hmm. Why? Because I live 30 minutes north of Austin. So why would I put all this energy into, like, trying to pretend that I am the king of South Austin when I'm not? Mm-hmm. But what I do know is I go to sleep and I wake up every day in Leander.
Yeah.
I know my community. I see people on a daily basis in my local Facebook group, and I can build influence there. Mm-hmm. So really, like, focus on building, like, who can you impact the most easily and most effectively, and focus on that.
Yeah. And then consistency, you know, just being consistent as long as possible every single day. You know, even if you have to dedicate 1 hour or 2 hours out of the day just to be active within your Facebook groups, to make a post, to make a video, to set up an event, like 2 hours out of the day. I mean, come on, that's nothing.
And aside from, like, the activities, what do you know about your local market? Mm-hmm. If I asked you right now, what's the average price per square foot for a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house? Do you know? That's the thing. Like, if you don't, that's okay. Identify that issue and then address it. Because if someone calls you from your website or they found you on Instagram and they're going to have that conversation with you and you're not prepared, that's not good either. There was a quote that says, "You are the market expert until you prove otherwise." Bam. I mean,
so you better know your stuff.
That's the thing, is these people, like, they don't know, but I think they can sniff out BS. And if you're just making up numbers that don't make any sense, that's not good. So, you know, learn your market. Don't hesitate to open up the MLS once every other day, every day, however often you want to do it, and just peek at what's the temperature of your neighborhood. Mm-hmm. What's the temperature of your city? How are things going? Did you have a big amount of listings expire? Are there a ton of new listings today? What's going on in your market? And that's going to help you confidently talk with prospective clients.
Yep. And that's I don't know if I've coined it, the definition of it, or I've made this up, but I call it the micro influencer strategy. And basically, you are the source of knowledge within your immediate community, right? So let's say Leander or Bryson. The more you niche down, the better. And then also, so for example, just a week ago, I found out from one of the local newspapers, online newspapers, that High Five is going to be opened up. And then I found out where it was going to be located. And then I found out that there was a new barbecue restaurant that was going to be opening up. I'm the first person that posted about it, and I literally told everyone, "You've heard it here first," right? Because now they're thinking of me as the source of information, right? Almost like a newspaper or a news agency. And so now they're following me, and they want to know why I know more, all this new information, and that's just another way of branding yourself. And then if you're an agent, guess what? They're going to think of you as the agent to work with.
Yeah. And make sure that you're like, it's funny how many people don't actively seek out that kind of information, but whenever you're scrolling through and you see it on your feed, you're like, aha, like, I'm so glad I know this now. Mm-hmm. And so if you're that person, you're distinguishing yourself again as the influencer for your local area.
Yeah.
And as John said, the more niche that you can kind of hone in on like a certain area, the better. Even Leander, right? Leander's a growing community. I don't know as much about certain parts of Leander as I do like my neighborhood. Like I said, it's natural to know more about the places that you live and that you see every day. So, really, if you can hone in and just really find what you're really informed about and pick that and highlight it, you'll become that voice for that particular area.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And people want that. I think that's the other thing is like there's a yearning for information.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So if you haven't watched the last podcast, we have one of a very influential person in both of our lives. His name's Ben Love. And he's like the biggest giver in the world. And so I try to model, and we try to model our business off of what he's taught us. And I started this book, and it's called The Go Giver. And if you haven't read this book, I definitely recommend you go check it out. And it's just basically teaching the principles of giving, right? But the thing is that everything that you want to become better at, the answer is giving. Like if you want to become more of an influencer,
you got to give.
Yeah. If you want to get more business, you've got to give more value, right? And like what I said earlier, your income is directly correlated from the amount of people you work with and the amount of value and how good of an experience you give them. And that quote is actually from that book, The Go Giver. And so it's a story-based book. It's really awesome. It's this sales guy that's trying to build influence, and he's trying to get business, and he thinks he's about to get fired, but he finds a mentor, and this mentor starts teaching him and starts introducing him to other people that the mentor has taught, and they're CEOs and they're icons and world changers, and they all know these principles of giving and giving without expecting in return. And it's just such a good book. Y'all definitely need to check it out.
Kind of reminds me of The Carpenter.
Yeah, The Carpenter is such a good book too.
Yeah, that's a good one as well. So let's share maybe some pro tips that we have for some agents to kind of make their lives a little bit easier.
Pro tips. Okay, cool.
So do you want to go first? You want me to?
I think I wrote some notes down. Okay. Yes. Okay. So I've got a great tip for new agents. I think a lot of times we're like, how do we get our marketing material, or how do we get information about certain areas? Well, there's this website called listreports.com.
Fantastic website.
It's free. Like, come on. You don't have to pay for it. And basically, you plug in the address, and then it will give you information like where the closest golf course is, how far grocery stores are,
local school ratings. And then if you've already put the information inside the MLS, it's going to
populate all the information about the house as well. How many square footage, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, and it's automatic. You literally put the address in or the MLS number and it uploads all of this marketing material for you. And now
Within like 5 minutes.
within 5 minutes. And
It's crazy.
So listreports.com, you definitely need to check it out.
You need an open house flyer? It's already ready for you.
It's ready.
You need a just listed flyer? It's ready. You need a landing page, like a website for it? Boom, you've got it.
Yeah.
It's a great resource. I'm glad that was one of your points, because that's a great one.
What about you?
So mine's not as serious.
Okay.
But if you're early on in your real estate career and you haven't ran into this, kudos to you. But at some point in time, you're gonna wish that you had brought toilet paper to an open house or to listings or showings. So bring a roll of toilet paper in your car when you're rocking with your clients, because you
This is
just
so
never
true.
know.
That happened to me last week, actually. Oh, you know what? And I've got another tip. Okay, so this is not as serious, but if you need to go to the restroom and you don't want to go to the restroom while your clients are at the house that you're showing, what you do is you tell them, hey, I've got y'all go ahead. I'll meet you at the next house. And so when they drive off, now you use the restroom at that house.
Hey, y'all go ahead. I gotta take this call real quick.
Yes. And so now I know it's serious. I mean, these are things that actually you will go through when you have to represent a lot of clients. Things happen. It's real life. And that's one way to get around it.
Like, I saw someone say that on one of the mastermind things, like, and what a joke of a group that is. But nonetheless, I see it every now and then where people talk about, like, oh, I should have brought toilet paper. And I'm like, that's never going to happen to me. And then it did. And I was like, all right, cool. Like, it's always funny until it happens to you. And it's never a serious matter until you get stuck in. So just as a pro tip, if you've got 4 hours of showings lined up, you better bring a roll. That's all I'm gonna say.
One thing that I've noticed is I've been showing houses and working all day, and at the end of the day, I'm like, did I eat?
Oh my God, that was me yesterday.
I'm like, did I even eat? I don't remember eating. And yeah. That's one problem that I'm running into lately.
Yeah, and it's funny because when you get busy, I think it's easy for agents to not appreciate that they're busy. And we were just talking about this, like, there's a theme that runs through this show where it's pick your hard, right? Do you want to be upset that you didn't eat that day because you were too busy showing your clients homes? Or would you rather have eaten and not have had any clients to serve? So pick your hard, really appreciate.
Or another way to look at it is, would you rather not eat because you can't afford it, or not eat because you're so busy?
Yeah, exactly. And when you get clients, like, you can't be mad that, like, you now have a client that needs your attention. Mm-hmm. That's what you work for. Mm-hmm. You do all this marketing and all these activities to get the client, and then what you do from there is what's going to determine whether you get it closed or not, and B, if you're going to have a lifetime client or if you're going to have a one-time client.
Every client has the opportunity to become 5 clients.
Yeah, and I have this rule where, like, I'm trying to kind of get away from leases a little bit, unless they're a referral from someone else. Mm-hmm. And the reason I do that is because I'm not gonna, if someone feels good enough about me to refer me a lease, that's their influence rubbing off on that person to trust me to help them.
Yeah.
So if I'm already like, nah, sorry, I don't do leases, that's not good. But if it's a referral and I already have that trust from this other person's recommendation with that person, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna do it at a really high level.
Yeah.
So I may only make a couple $100. It doesn't matter. I don't know who that person knows. And maybe that lease client, their aunt needs a realtor in Austin. And who are they going to think of? Me, the person that helped them with the quote unquote non-important activity, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. But one last thing. If you liked anything that you heard, would you please go and subscribe and maybe make a review for us? It helps the podcast. Share it with a friend. If you have friends in real estate and they're struggling right now, please share this podcast. We're here to help. We're here to be source of value for you guys. It's all free. And then also we do have a Texas Real Estate Agent Mastermind Facebook group. So we're sharing tips on there as well. So you can go ahead and join that too.
Absolutely. Thanks for listening. And it feels good to be back, baby. 2023 is starting off real hot. We're super excited about the way that our 2023 is starting. We want to have that happen for you as well. So tune in, go kill it in your local market. We know you can do it. And we're also here if you want to talk and reach out. We're here to be a resource outside of just this as well.
Go get some more houses under contract right now.
Boom.
Go.
We'll see you guys in the next episode.
See ya.